Are we becoming morning podcasters now?
Oh, God. I mean, I'm still wiping the sleep out of my eyes. I did finish my coffee, though, so
I'm still sipping on mine. A little coffee talk for you. Hi Chip. How are
good
you?
morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like I've seen you a lot, and so it's like always weird when we've been together a lot, and I'm like, oh hi, as if we haven't talked
Well, you know
ever.
what's funny is when you were, full disclosure, we went out on the lake this weekend in Kentucky, and then Kelly came the next day. We got there on Friday. She showed up Saturday. And on Friday, we
Wait,
were
hold
like
on.
a bunch of,
I was working. The way you're like, she
I
showed
know,
up like I
like,
came out of the
well,
dust
she
and
was not
saw
there
her.
on Friday. And, but we were kind of like, we were sitting in the parlor at this like bed and breakfast. And some of our friends that were with us were like, I feel like I haven't seen Kelly in forever. Like, when was the last time you saw Kelly? When was the last time we were with Kelly? And for me, I forget that we're often not in the same room
Me too.
because I get to see your face while we're doing this. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I see her a lot. But I think the last time I saw you was your birthday dinner, like face to face.
Oh, face to face. That's
Yeah. But it
interesting.
doesn't feel like that because
I
I
feel
see
the
your
same
face when we do
way.
this. It's
No,
so
and I feel
funny.
very caught up on your life, like, all the time, and then with
Right.
our other friends, if I don't see them, I give way out of the loop. So
Yeah.
it is interesting. That's so funny because I feel the same way. But yeah, then so it's like we recorded last week, then we stayed together this weekend, and then now it's Monday that we're recording this
So
because
it's a
we're
lot.
traveling this week. So yeah, we've had a lot of
Oh,
togetherness.
yeah, and we'll see each other
Oh,
later
yeah, we'll
this
be in
week
New
in New
York
York.
together too. Oh, look at us. We're just having some quality time. I'm so happy
Yeah,
for us.
yeah, that's also why we were probably recording on Monday because of the travels.
Well, that is why.
Oh, okay,
Not
that's why.
probably. That is the
'Cause I
the
don't wanna bring
reason.
this microphone in order to you.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little tricky to travel with this stuff. Also, sound is always scary to me. Like, I need my little sound booth that I'm in right now,
Yeah,
like, to
yeah,
be safe about that so that you guys don't have to listen to remember that time you recorded in, like, the hotel lobby?
yes,
Like, what is happening right now?
I
This is
know.
actually a professional podcast, but you're literally in the lobby
I
under some
couldn't get
sort of,
into my
like
room, so I'm just, like, sitting in the lobby, probably looking like a fucking weirdo.
You looked like a little bit like you didn't have a home for sure that day, sitting under some blanket.
Podcasting, do it from anywhere.
Is that your ad? What if?
Yes, what if?
Anyway, I'm really excited to talk about this topic with you because I feel like this is a new thought process for you. And we were
Mhm.
talking a little bit before the podcast just about that, and we'll get into it in just a second. But on Wednesday, I had Dr. Jamie Zuckerman, who I call Dr. Z. That's her Instagram handle, but she specializes in narcissism and narcissistic abuse. And so she came on the podcast because what's really been irking me lately is when anything goes if whether you wanna call it viral or trendy or whatever, it loses its power in our culture to me, and narcissism has been something that's deeply impacted my life and my relationships, and, I've experienced what that can look like and feel like and how terrible it is, and so watching it get dumbed down in our society, like everyone's just a narcissist now, has been very upsetting for me. So, I brought her on the podcast because I thought, well, the best I can do is, like, really try to educate people on the reality of this word and this topic. And you came out saying exactly what I would have wanted someone to get from that podcast. So do you wanna tell the listeners a little bit about what you were saying to me right before we started?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have obviously known the word narcissist for a long time, but I always just sort of equated it to like someone who loved themselves so much that
Yeah.
they just like they're always talking about themselves, they're always posting photos of themselves. Like I'm just like that's narcissistic, you know.
Like
They're a
Kim
narcissist.
Kardashian. That's an easy
Yeah,
one to be
like
like, "Oh, she's a narcissist," because
right,
she
like
posts
you
selfies
and
all the time.
yeah, it's like I'm not when someone pulls out a camera, I'm often like, ugh, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and so it's so the opposite for me, and but I'm also like, you do you, boo. Like, if you love your body and you love all those things and you think you're pretty, then post all the photos you want. It still feels narcissistic. But I learned in this podcast that it's so much darker than that.
Mhm.
Um, and it's, you know, it's stealth, it's subtle, like, it's not as obvious as what I thought it to be, and that does not mean that my definition was wrong either because those are narcissistic tendencies that I was identifying as a narcissist, but I never realized that true narcissism is really about how it affects other people,
Mm,
and not about how it affects the narcissist.
that's interesting to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah, I think the characteristics that you're describing could be a narcissist, but they also could not be. Like, I don't know Kim Kardashian personally, so I don't know how it ebbs and flows in and out of her life on a bigger scale. And I think, like, in this influencer culture, like, I used to post stuff all the time like that because I
yeah,
was selling the clothes I was wearing, you know? And I have lately gotten to the place of not knowing how to do that because it feels very much like that. I don't know, like, I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I sort of am like, "Ugh, I don't wanna post pictures of myself all the time." I feel gross about it now, you know, because my business has kinda changed. But I don't think that that is always an indicator that someone's a narcissist, and so I was researching that this morning because that was what was really coming to my brain too, and I'm so glad that you brought that topic up because I think that one of the things that Dr. Z said that made sense to me was that it's like if they're like that, say there's someone that posts all the time on social media and they're just posting selfies about themselves. I mean, selfies or things about themselves all the time. And then that carries over into all of the aspects of their life, like all of the different relationships, work, whatever. If everything is just about them all the time, that is probably a person that's high in narcissistic traits. Or there could be a person who does that as a business and then they go into their life and the focus is on their kids, the focus is on their partner, the focus is somewhere else. That's probably not a person that's a
right.
full-blown definitely not a full-blown narcissist, but maybe not even high on narcissistic traits. Like, some of it is just existing in our society, and, like, as far as we know, Kim Kardashian could just be a brilliant brand manager. Like, it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
and she's the brand, you know?
well, it would also, like, if we take my thoughts pre-social media where we're controlling the narrative,
Mhm.
it would almost mean that, like, any model is a narcissist, like someone that
Totally.
just is making money off of the way that they look, and that's not the case. It's someone is recognizing that in them and photographing them and making them look really great, and it's the way that they make their money. And it really has nothing to do with their personality.
Right.
So I think the social media piece of it has just sort of put it under a microscope
Yeah.
because it is so much more intentional. But it's also like, Kim was able to rise to fame by just being Kim. So why? I mean, yes, of course she does the modeling and she does the magazine covers and all that shit, but like she can do so much more at with her fingertips,
Mhm.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that she's a narcissist. It means that she's figured out how to trade off of her looks
Mhm.
and I don't know her or her life, but it does look like she's actually a good mom, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we just don't until you actually know someone or you're in a personal relationship with them of some kind, I think it would be very hard to say. Or if you're like observing relationships that they're in or across the board, like their full life, and we don't really get to see that, right? Even though
Right.
there's a reality show and stuff, like we all know about that. So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting thought. The one thing I did find when I was researching that topic about like social media, like if someone posts a lot about themselves, is that an indication of narcissism? And an interesting study found that men who post selfies are definitely have a tendency to be more narcissistic, whereas women who post selfies a lot or whatever, it's not. Like, it's just become a part of our culture and something that is like acceptable and normalized amongst women. But if a man is doing it, there's a higher percentage of narcissists found. Isn't that interesting?
That's really interesting, and it's also why I personally find it interesting is without knowing that fact, I
Hmm.
have felt that. Like, when I go on a guy's
Hmm.
page, if it's all selfies, I'm like,
Or gym
"Ew,
pics.
run." Yeah,
Mhm.
it's,
I
um
like that we talked about that a lot with dating profiles. Like, I remember back when I was on all the apps and stuff, seeing men who would just either post, like, a ton of selfies or, gym pictures or whatever. I was just like, "Ugh." But if you see that a girl doing that, I don't have the same reaction. It's so
right.
true. It's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
I wonder what that is. I don't know, but it's like, I think it just it communicated a lot to me about the guy. 'Cause, like, the guys that I end up dating are typically not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know,
Mm.
I would run from that person anyway, so I don't think I would end up dating that person.
Yeah.
Uh, So maybe I would just be fooled by someone's unwillingness to post that stuff. I would I wouldn't equate them with being a narcissist because their social media doesn't define them as such.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I don't think I would ever end up in a relationship with somebody that has
That was
nothing but
doing that.
selfies on
Yeah,
social media.
yeah. Well, it is really interesting, and if you want to know actual characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder, you can Google that and find the DSM-5 list, and there's 9 characteristics they talk about. And what we mentioned on the podcast with Dr. Z is like they do describe narcissism on a sliding scale. So, like, there's full blown narcissistic personality disorder, which is the thing that they would say you can't change from. Like, you're not going to be any different. You're not ever going to change or understand what's going on because you don't care. And then there's people who have super low narcissistic traits, obviously. And then there's all of us have something, you know? And the way she described it to me was kind of helpful because it was if you do something like across the board. So, what we were saying about Kim Kardashian, like she might do it in this one area, but we don't see the rest of the areas of her life or the rest of her relationships. It might not be across the board. It might just be that she posts a lot and that could be a business strategy or whatever. Like, but if someone is consistently the same way in every area of their life, then they probably are higher on the narcissistic scale. So that I'll just read the 9 characteristics, and they say that you have to have at least 5 of these to be considered a narcissist. So grandiose sense of self-importance, like exaggerating achievements, expecting to be recognized as superior without real accomplishments. 2 is preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3, belief that they are special and unique and can only be understood by or associate with people of like certain high status or that they're special for some reason. The thing coming into my brain right now is like the terminal uniqueness. Like I see this a lot of times with people where they're just like, ugh, I just, my story is so much harder than everyone else's, or like somehow they're the victim of something. And it's like, no, everyone's going through that too. Like you're just
Right.
so in your own world that you have no idea. Um, 4, it requires excessive admiration. 5, sense of entitlement. 6, interpersonally exploitive, like taking advantage of others to achieve on their own end. 7, lack empathy. 8, often envious of others. 9, arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. I thought it was interesting because, like, the excessive admiration, I think that's what you were like associating.
Mhm.
And you said because they just need that and it's because they think so highly of themselves, and we were like, "No, actually, they don't, though. They need the admiration because they feel so low about themselves."
Right. They
So it's like
actually
their
hate
drug.
themselves.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
actually hate themselves, or they have super low self-confidence, so that's where all of these survival skills develop, is needing all of that. The other thing is, they talk about, the grandiose narcissism, which I think is what a lot of us would associate with narcissism. There's also something called covert narcissism or vulnerable narcissism. And those are going to be the types that have a lot of these tendencies, except for the grandiose behavior, like the big
Right.
charming, whatever. They're more the quiet, the subtle, the manipulative behind closed doors. But I think the thing that you learned the most from Dr. Z was like this, it's all about power and control,
It's
right?
all about, yeah, I that was the one note that the first note that I wrote down from listening was it's always an underlying function of power and control. The
Mhm.
envy thing is really interesting to me too, because it's not a trait that you expect from someone that you think is narcissistic,
Mhm.
but it then makes so much sense to think that envy could drive narcissism because you want to be better or look better or do better than the people
Anyone.
around you.
Yes.
So the narcissistic qualities would come out when you have to belittle what someone else has done or make their achievements feel like less of achievements. Um, because they're creeping into your territory and it's taking nothing from you, but you have to make
Attention.
it.
It's
Yeah, it
taking
takes
attention
attention.
from
Yeah.
you. I think
But they also then expect you to be envious of, like, they want so badly for you to be envious of them because their envy is driving that. It's
it's
so
like a mind
fucking
fuck.
weird. I mean,
Right.
I as much as I think it would be really painful to be in a relationship with a narcissist, um, it would fucking suck to be a narcissist.
Yeah, sad
Like,
life.
what are the benefits? I don't understand. Like, it feels like it's one of those things where it's like, if you, built your life on a a house of cards, like,
That is what it's
everything's
like.
everything's a lie,
Mhm.
and, at a certain point, like, you can't even remember who you've lied to, what you've lied about, and everything would just crumble, and the fear of knowing that every day is one step closer to that moment would be debilitating for me.
I don't know that there's an awareness about that other than the need to protect it at all times, which is why as life goes on, the behaviors amp up because the more you have at stake, the more power, the more control you have to operate from, you know?
Yeah.
Or with the envy piece, like we all come across people who excel at things in their lives, you know, but they like people, or my experience, people with high narcissistic traits cannot hold space for someone else to be winning as well, like to be
Mhm.
succeeding in life as well. Like there's only room for the one. And as long as they stay in that position, great. And then everyone else can do all their things as long as it's not
You don't
competing with
usurp
what.
them, yeah.
Mhm. But the second it starts to threaten anything about what they deem as like their spot, you'll get taken out. And that's just the war begins. You know, it's just like the dismantling of whatever your life or whatever your success is, like, they will start in that, or that's been my experience. So, it's wild though, because 'cause you're like, "Wait, I was never a threat to you. What was
Right,
that?" It's a
right.
really weird experience, or, like, often, like, if you're in a love relationship or a friendship, like, you would just think that the other person on the other side of that would want you to win. Like, I want my boyfriend to have the most success. Like, I want you to have the most success. Like, I want you to be happy in your life and win and, like, succeed, you know? Like,
Yeah, and
I'm your
whatever that
biggest
looks
cheerleader.
like, yeah.
Yeah, like, I can't understand feeling like I wanna destroy you because you're winning. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I've always approached life, because I'm such a sports ball guy, with like a team mentality where it's like, if you're winning, it's good for everybody.
Are you
Like,
giving us another sports analogy?
no, no,
I
I just
almost just
I
spit
just
out
was
my
gonna say
coffee.
team mentality.
I mean, as much as I've been talking to you lately, I'm not sure I know you anymore. So
Um, yeah, it's just a win for one person should be a win for everybody. It should never be a loss for the greater good.
well, and what's so weird is that when I've had this situation happen, it's like you're all on what I've looked at it, or how I've looked at it is that we're all on the same team from
Yeah.
the situations where I was feeling like I was being taken out. And I'm like, wait, what? It's so confusing, this whole dynamic. And until you see it, I think you're left thinking like something is wrong with you because
Right.
it's so mindfucky. But like what Dr. Z said, the second you start to see it and that starts to just unravel, you can't not see it anymore. Like
Yeah.
you'll start seeing it across the board in your life of all the different ways this could be showing up, or anytime you meet a person high on narcissistic scale, you're probably going to recognize it faster. Like it just doesn't, once you see it, it's definitely not one of those things you can unsee, and you know the danger of it, I think, and so you start being like, "I don't wanna participate in that anymore
Yeah.
because it's never gonna end well."
Well, one of the things that really struck me with what she said was, about the defining moment of when you recognize it.
Yeah.
She said, "It's a moment of clarity when you realize that there are no alternative responses except for the one you don't want it to be. If you accept that to be what it is, your entire view of humanity and of people changes, and your entire view of the world is pulled out from under you, and you have to reformulate how you think about and see things." And that's fucking terrifying
Sad.
because suddenly you have to, on a molecular level, change the way that you see and believe about the world because someone has manipulated or controlled or not cared about you in the way that you thought that they in the way that you cared about them, and it felt symbiotic for a really long time, and then you're like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
And that's really scary to be like, it makes you feel like a fool.
Well, yeah, because there's, like, a naivety that comes with it where you're
Right.
like, "Why didn't I move in this place?" And I dealt with that for a long time. I even talked about that with her of just that feeling of, "Am I an idiot?" But it's like, "No, you're not." It's just there I think
A
we
really good
all
narcissist.
well, and we just yes, but we also all move through the world through the lens at which we see things or how we're wired or how we're built. And I just used to assume that everyone saw things that
Had the
way. Like
best
I didn't
intentions.
realize I was doing that, but like yeah, you just assume that the people that you're dating or in a friendship with or even like that you work for would have a good interest for you because why else are you in a relationship? But, like, it's just about they could have that, but it's still just about if as long as they're on top and they're above you and they can control you. And if that is the basis of your relationship and if you buck back at all, if it explodes the relationship, that communicates everything to you. Because, like,
Right.
if you and I got in a fight and you said to me, "Kelly, you really hurt my feelings," or "I feel like you're being really unfair about this for the podcast," or whatever, like, I would wanna hear you. I'm not saying I could make the changes necessarily, but we could have an open dialogue, and I wouldn't personalize it as, like, Chip is just out
It's
to get
trying
me, I've gotta
he's
destroy
trying to
him.
take control.
No,
This
I
is
would
mine.
yeah, I would just be like, "Let me think about what he's saying. Is that true? Can I see his side?" And then, like, make weigh the decisions that way because I would want you to feel like an equal partner in all the things that we're doing together,
Right.
even just our friendship. Like, I want you to feel heard. I want you to be happy. Like, I want you to feel good, like, all of those things. But if that's not the response you're getting, I think that's a really big indicator of the
Yeah, it's a
dynamic of the
tell.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is
This was really it's been mi mind-opening for
yeah.
me, yeah.
And there's a lot of grief that comes from seeing it, because I think,
Mhm.
like, if you hold certain people or certain relationships in certain regards, and then you see it, and then you can't unsee it, like we're saying, it's sad because
Mhm.
you have a lot of grief around what you thought the relationship was, and where it is now or what the
Well,
reality of it
and
is.
and ultimately, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but
Okay.
she also said, like, if you're in a abusive, narcissistic relationship, one of the last things you should do is let them know that you're onto it.
Totally.
That, because it would escalate their behavior.
Yeah.
So that you should not tell them that you figured it out. So it's
Mm-mm.
almost like you have to it's a fight you're never gonna win,
Absolutely.
because they're never going to see your side of the story. So you kinda have to just bow out and, protect yourself, which feels like such a fucking pussy move.
Mhm.
And it also feels like you're forfeiting and you're choosing the loss. And, but if it's a fight you're never going to win, it's like going to war without a gun,
No,
like,
yeah. And, like, the
can't
way to win is not she said
to
this, but
not engage.
yeah, and it's not what you because it's not what you think it would be. I spent so many years being like, "If I just say this in a different way, then this person will hear me," and I tried that. This was in multiple different relationships, but I just thought, "If I could just word it differently, I must have said it in a way that they can't understand. So and let me say it again. Let me, like, figure this out." Or screaming, like, getting into the intense fight, being like, "No, if they feel the emotion that I'm feeling or whatever, then we'll be able to understand each other." And I just remember in all of the situations I was in, there was the moment where it's just like everything drops. You realize that no matter what you say, how you say it, when you say it, like any of those details, it's not going to change anything about
Right.
them. It's just not. So you quit. And like that is the biggest, for me, that was in every situation, one of the most freeing feelings was to be like, "I'm just not gonna do this anymore." Like, fine, you win.
Right.
You win. I'll step back. Whatever it is, I'll stay silent. You win, but that's actually you winning because you get
Well,
your
yeah, I
power
mean,
back.
the beauty in that is they've now lost control,
That's
and so you win, but
mhm.
it feels like it's weird because that's the manipulation at play, that it also feels like you lost, like you gave up.
Of course.
And
Well, you did lose. Being in a
yeah,
relationship with a narcissist or someone who's highly narcissistic
it's a loser's
is
game.
a loser's game,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
That's why if I start to sense it now, I'm like, "Bye." No,
Right. Yeah,
because
it's like
the
the
other
point of this the point of it all and learning through
Mhm.
those experiences is to never let it happen again.
Yeah, and, like, I have to be honest with myself. When I'm in a relationship like that, I am not a version of myself that I like.
Right.
And so if those kind of characteristics in another person are gonna bring out those sides of me, it is my responsibility to say, "I can't engage in these kind of dynamics." And, like, as much as I would love to be like, "I'm strong enough," it will wear me down. It does
Yeah.
I'm just human. So it's like I can have all the head knowledge, I can have all the practice, I can have, like, all of my wits about me or whatever, and boundaries and all the things, but if I spend too much time with a highly narcissistic person, I will get worn down.
Mhm.
That is case in point, and that will always happen, and so, like, I have to really be conscious of that
Yeah.
if I wanna keep trying to show up as my best self in this
Right.
world, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's a really tricky dynamic, but I do believe this to be true, that once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then the more you kinda stay with that and allow the truth to be in your vision or whatever, it's just it changes everything, so
Well, what I mean, since you can speak from experience,
sure.
what are those red flags that
Mm.
you might recommend somebody looking for early on so you can they can bow out before they're in too deep?
I mean, I'll only speak because 'cause I'm not a doctor, so I don't wanna say, like, this for everybody, but the things I recognize in myself, I'll say this, is, confusion. If I feel confused in the situation, there's something wrong. I'm not stupid. So, like, if
Right.
I'm feeling confused and I try to talk and I get more confused, like if I try to have a conversation with the person and I end more confused, something is going on, like some sort of manipulation, lie, gaslighting is going on. And I know that to be true because I know that I'm a smart person and I have an understanding of humans that I'm not stupid. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be confused. That's just and I had to really, like, get to that confidence within myself because for so long, I was just like, "Well, I'm just not getting it, or am I missing something? Like, I'm not seeing this clearly." But I've done enough work on myself now to be like, "No." Because I have other healthy relationships too, and I don't feel confused. And if I feel confused, I go talk to the person and we talk it out
You
and we
get clarity. Yeah.
get clarity. So if I'm never able to get clarity and there's always a sense of confusion unless I just go along with what the other person is saying, something's off. So that's one. The other thing for me is I have like a body awareness about it now. And I don't really know how to tell people how to get this because unfortunately it came from a lot of years of living in dynamics like this. But when I'm talking to a person with high narcissistic traits, my body tenses up and I get anxious and I start to like worry about saying the right thing. Like, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to, like, I'm just really worried about delivery, about, well, oh, I can't say that to them. They'll get so upset or whatever. And when I think about my relationships that aren't with narcissistic people, I don't think about that. I just
Right.
speak, I
You
just
just get
do,
to
I
be
just
you.
act. And if I need to make amends for something I did, I will always do that. But, like, I'm not over analyzing every word I say or how I say it or when I present it or whatever, like, that's always a thing for me that's another indicator. And then just, like, the battery drain. Like, do I feel like I have been in a reciprocal situation that, like, fuels me up too or, like, fills me up too, or do I leave feeling just so depleted and drained and like, who am I? Like, she gave the example of this woman, one of her clients, who had gotten to the point of being in the relationship and not even knowing what flavor ice cream she likes.
Right.
And I know that sounds like ridiculous to some people, but that was very much my experience is you lose so much of who you are and you have to be so disconnected from self to stay in these relationships that you really can't see left from right anymore unless they're telling you what it is. So it's
Yes.
like so essentially, if you can't feel your own preferences, if you don't feel like you can stay true to your own preferences and exist in these relationships, or that you can, I mean, there's like obviously compromise in all relationships, but there's a difference. Like, there's a big difference between compromising and like, you and your partner doing something that's mutually beneficial and you sacrificing and self-sacrificing continuously to the point of not even knowing what you like anymore or what your fucking name is. Like that's where I got. It was like I am just going through so many motions of life and feeling like if I didn't have this person or one of the many in my life telling me kind of which direction to go or like almost correcting my direction when I would go the way I wanted to go, I just felt like so confused. Like, what's the right decision? And now that I'm in a different place, I'm like, well, if I feel confused, I need to sit with my body and get quiet. And I know, like, I'll know. I need to tap into my intuition. I need to connect with myself. I need to like journal it out or whatever, spend time with myself. And I was so like, I got so dependent. I couldn't even be by myself anymore. Like, it just
Right.
started to be like anxiety all the time. And then the other thing is like physical. If you're in a deep narcissistic relationship, you will have physical reactions. Like, go look at yourself in the mirror if you're feeling this, and can you make eye contact and do your eyes look happy or sad? Like, I literally looked sad all the time. I was so vacant in my eyes. I was super skinny. We talked about that this weekend.
Yeah.
Like 15 pounds, I think, was what I've ended
I
up
mean, and you
figuring out.
only weigh 16 to begin
What?
with, so I don't know where.
But I was 15 pounds lighter than I am right now,
Yeah,
which is, yeah, I'm not a big person
not
to begin
healthy.
with. So it
Yeah.
was very like skeletal. It was sad to see. But yeah, those are the main ones I can
Maybe
think
I
about.
need to start dating a narcissist.
So, oh my God. Don't even make these
It's the
jokes.
new fad diet.
There's no more Ozempic. It's like, here's how you lose weight. All the
Date
infomercials
an
are like,
asshole.
yeah. It's just like it becomes a dating app of like, with this guy, you could lose 10 pounds. With this guy, you'll lose 20.
You'll lose everything, including weight.
This is so fucked up.
It's so dark.
God, I did not see this going there.
Oh, God.
Anyway, those are jokes. And sometimes you do have to have a sense of humor about this stuff because it can feel really dark and heavy. So I
Yeah.
don't know. If anybody is listening, seriously, if anybody is listening and they're really resonating with the stuff we say and you're freaking out about your situation, please feel free to reach out to me because I know this can be one of the most isolating experiences. And oftentimes, people in relationships with narcissists can't really find an outlet because people don't believe you for a long time, too.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not seeing it, which with a lot of situations, you don't see it for yourself. You have to be in the relationship because it's so insidious and it's so psychological too. So if you are experiencing that, please feel free to reach out to me. You can always email us at theedge@velvetsedge.com, or you can slide into my DMs personally. It's at Velvet's Edge. I do check all of those myself. So you guys can do that. Chip, what if they want to reach out to you?
I can be found on Instagram at Chip Dorsch. It's ChipDorsch.
And we are growing our podcast Instagram. It's at Velvet's Edge Podcast. And it's been fun to kind of interact with you guys on that. I'm loving that. It's just more intensive information about each podcast. We are going to keep growing that as well to be more interactive with you guys. So go follow us there at Velvet's Edge Podcast. You can watch this podcast on YouTube. We are all the places, you guys. Oh,
World
we
Wide
do
Web,
have a
baby.
TikTok as well. It's at Velvet's Edge on TikTok. So there you go. Come talk to us. And if you're experiencing any sort of situation that you relate to any of the things we said with this topic in particular about narcissism, definitely reach out because it can be crazy making. So, but you are not crazy. This is just crazy
No.
making shit. So,
Yep.
anyway, we're going to go about our week. And as you guys go into your weekend and you're living on the edge, I hope you always remember to
Act casual.
bye.
Bye.